Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks, The Hungry Gamer is back with another episode of the monthly menu, and today we are talking about the top 5 games that I played in June 2024. And as always, just a reminder, this means these are the games that hit the table the most. And anytime there was a tie, I would look at where in these digital plays, because I do count games as plays if I played it kind of in one sitting in real time. But if there's a tie, I count those as less than a actual play in meat space. And if there's still a tie, then I look at, well, what games did I play for the most time? So a single game of Mouse, Cheese, Cat, Cucumber counts for less than a single game of Madara. Anyhow, jumping right in, let's talk about how I did with this month's picks. Starting out with the list. And yes, we did. We got back to it. We knocked a game off the list. And the game that we played was a game called Dog Lovers from AEG. And my understanding is this is a re-implementation or reworking of Cat Lady into Dog Lover. And my wife loved it. It's a very simple game, kind of set collection. You're collecting things that the different dogs need and you're adopting new dogs. And she just adored it. It's a fun, quick little game. And it's a game that I did not think was going to stick around for me, but now it absolutely is going to stick around. So that's what we got off of the list. Also, someone asked me last month or the month before, what is this list I keep talking about? Well, here is the list. And so what you have here are, my wife walked around through the room and my game room here, and she picked games that she was interested in playing. And she'd say, what is that game? And I'd give her a brief description and she would add it or not. Then at the bottom of the list here, these are the ones that were kind of carryovers from the previous list that she wanted to play again. And so as you can see, all we have left to knock off are Sea Shanties, Fog of Love, Monasterium, Shiver Me Timbers, and Here Be Dragons before I can make another version of the list. So we're slowly getting there. Anyhow, the next game that was my pick for the month was Tsukiyumi Full Moon Down, and that was one I was pretty confident was going to happen because I knew I was going to be doing a preview of the new stuff, and yes, we did play it. Streamline Matt just obliterated us so poorly that we called the game early and played something else afterwards. But this is still a very fun, very challenging area control game, immensely asymmetric, and I just love, love, love that about that game. Next one was Scrap, and this is a game that came to me from Australia that I really wanted to play again. I only got to play it one time at KublaCon, and we had a good game of it, but it's just, there's a lot going on, and we did some things wrong, and so we got it to the table again, and Original Don and I, we played, and I'm very intrigued by this. I'm not quite ready to make a video on it yet, because I'm still trying to work out some things that I think I'm still doing wrong. But this is a very interesting, very clever, asymmetric game which you have a tiny bit of programming. You're programming 2 cards, which gives you some stuff you have to think about, but also if you make a mistake, you've only messed up for 1 card. Really interesting game. I'm actually trying to set up a game of it with the designer and also Chris Anthony, the designer of Guildmaster, because they're both Aussies and I'm on summer break and maybe I can make it happen. So that was Scrap. Next was Eclipse Second Dawn, and this was the big gimme that I had because I knew Mark Dainty of Not Board Gaming had it set up for our visit when we were in the UK, and yes, it did happen. I got to play some of the new factions, which to me really looks like Future Space Danny Trejo, but I had a really good time. I got 5th out of 6th or 4th out of 5th, whatever it was, and just I had a really good time with it. It's not a game that I'm going to go back to all the time. It's not my favorite 4X game, but it is a blast when you get it to the table. And the last one was Aventuria, and this was one that I reviewed very favorably, just the base game, last year or the year before, and then I went not all in on the new stuff, but pretty heavily in on the new stuff, which involved a lot of things that improve the storyline when you're playing co-op or solo, and things that kind of let you build up your character a little bit as you're going on and grow these characters. And I got the game back to the table a couple of times. I got it back to the table once just as a refresher of the game. Just base, played the game, had a good time. And then finally I got the new stuff to the table. And what a great set of expansions. The Legends and the Stories mode, I just really, really had a good time with it. The stories are better, the choices you make are more interesting, the way you're growing is more interesting, and the core gameplay is still just fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to kind of playing more of that. And I even managed to get all of it into just one box. I made some little card dividers, and I'm very, very pleased with myself, needless to say. Now, before I move into the top 5 of the month, I just want to point out that Jeremiah Slack of Geek HQ, he has made for me a Hungry Gamer shirt. And as you can see on the back, that looks tasty, and I love it. In fact, Jeremiah said he is willing to make shirts for anybody that wants one. And if you want one, I will have an email down below, and you can send an email, and I will forward the information on to him. Pretty much, he will put whatever game you want on the box that I'm eating that you want. There are some exceptions, right? I mean, no one who is a fan of my channel is going to put something that's particularly offensive or whatever. But beyond that, any game that you want. I chose to put Conquest Princess on mine because, well, I think the game's great, I think Seppi's great, and I'm excited by it. But any game you want, so if you're interested in one of those shirts, just drop down into the comments. You can leave a comment there, use the email that I posted in the description of this, and I'll get you set up. I will tell you right now, I get no money from this at all, nothing. Everything will get sent straight to him. And if you are in the continental US, it'll be pretty easy shipped. If you're somewhere else and you still want one, we'll figure it out, but it'll be probably a little more expensive. But anyhow, I'm very excited about it. I love it. If you're interested in one, let me know and we'll get you set up. So, talking about the top 5 games of the month, coming at number 5, that is Expressions. And this is a fast, lightning fast, co-op, kind of hand-shedding game where you're trying to figure out what cards the other players have in their hands of different suits and different numbers, and you're taking your cards and you're either putting them down on the board in front of you with an orientation to the card that's going to tell you this is my highest red card or whatever. Or you're going to say you have a blue 8, and if they do, they put it down on the Harmony side. Then I get to take a card out of my hand to put on the Harmony side. If not, it goes, whoever does have it puts one on the Agony side of the board. And then at the end of the game, if you have more cards on Harmony than Agony, you win. I've yet to win. This is a very clever game. It's very neat. It's a tiny little box, and I really have enjoyed it. It's a good find from Corey Thompson. Number 4 on the list was one that I played several times with Mark Dainty in the UK, and that is Age of Comics. And this is a game that I was really interested in. We actually covered it on Dialing It In with Danny and Don, featuring Doug, back when we used to do that show, and I almost got it, but Don did get it. And I actually hadn't played it with Don, but Mark had just picked it up from UKGE, and this is a game where it's the golden age of comics, and you're kind of running your comic shop, and you're kind of running your comic business. You're printing comics, you're selling them, and you can print knockoffs of other people's comics, and it's really clever. I really, really enjoyed it, and this is one that it feels like an interestingly complete game, and I don't know that this is one that I'm going to feel the need to go back to, but this is definitely one of those games that I will never say no if somebody wants to play. Very clever little game. Coming at number 3. Number 3 is one that I have been pretty excited by coming out of Kubla Khan, and that is a game called Relic Blade. This is a skirmish fantasy game, and I kind of went off the deep end. I got a whole bunch of print and play stuff. So I have print and play standees, and I have all these cards I made, and books, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And it's a really clever game. I've not actually gotten to play it a ton. I've done just little tiny games, little tiny skirmishes and things. But I'm really excited to kind of dive into the solo campaign and just kind of see where it goes. I'm very, very intrigued by this game, and I've probably spent too much money on it. But I just want to play it. I want to play more, and so I'm excited by it. Number 2 on the list is Aventuria. As I already mentioned earlier, I played a whole bunch of it, and I played session after session, and I've done some improvements of my characters, and I really want to go back and play more, and the new stuff has taken what is a good, solid game with a great system and made it something that I'm going to want to go back to over and over again. And I'm worried that if I see it at a convention, I'm going to try to buy a whole bunch of it. And that brings me to number 1. Number 1 on the list, it wasn't even close, and that is Madara. And you could probably expect to see that on the list again next month as well, because I'm really trying to finish Act 1 before the new stuff shows up. I don't think I'm going to make it, but I'm moving through, and there's some new cards that arrived, and I was able to replace some things, and it came with cards that allow you to play with fewer characters on the board, just kind of buff some characters up, and it's really made the game pop, and I'm really, really enjoying it that way. So, that brings us into the picks for next month. Obviously, we start out with the list. 50-50, I will get something done. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful. Next is a game that I have sitting somewhere, I don't know where it is, somewhere right around here behind me, that I've never played. And it was a gift given to me because some of you may know I used to run a Shakespeare company, and one of my Shakespeare friends found a copy of Shakespeare, the board game, in a thrift store, unpunched. And I really wanted to play it for a while, and so I'm committed this month to getting Shakespeare played. Now, I'm recording a little bit into the month, so it may or may not happen, but I'm hoping to try. Next is one that's probably been on this picks more than any other game I have ever had, and that is Vindication. It's on my 5x5, and I'm really anxious to get it to the table again. Next on the list is another one from my 5x5, and that is Rise of the Gnomes. And this is, well, one, because I really like it, but also I just need to get it to the table to knock off my 5x5, and it's such a great game. I just really have decided that's what I want to play. Now the last one is one that I previewed, and it arrived fairly recently, and I saw a whole bunch of people playing it at RageCon, and that is Weirdwood Manor, and this is a crisis management game with some dice chucking and cool acrylic standees, and it's just sitting right here, you can't quite see it, and it's mocking me, so I really want to get it to the table, and it's a game that is kind of up there potentially in my top crisis management games list that I'm working on, getting closer and closer, feeling comfortable making that list. So that brings me to thank you to all of the channel members, and as always I really appreciate that you are here and you're giving me a little bit of funds, which helps me go to more conventions and get more games and try things and do odd stuff and sometimes upgrade the equipment and all of that. And as always, while I'm not so gauche to say I could not do this without you, because I did it before and obviously I would keep doing it, it does make it easier, and I really, really appreciate it. And for those of you who don't know, you can just click on the link right down in the description and it tells you what's up. You can join for as little as 99 cents a month, which is basically you just saying, hey, I support you, thank you very much, and you'll get to see videos early on occasion and things like that. Then there's a $5 a month level, which gets you access to individualized videos. If there's something that you want to see, you just let me know and I will make a video on it and post it for the members only, all the way up to the high level, which I will play some kind of digital game with you every month in addition to everything else. Also, thank you to Noble Knight Games for continuing to be a sponsor. The way that works, if you're curious, is they send me some store credit each month and I can use that on occasion. I've gotten a few new things that I'm hoping to get onto the channel some point relatively soon. In fact, there is one that I already talked about in my RageCon video, Exo World Survival. That's how I was able to pick that up. And down in the description you'll find an affiliate link. That means if you click on that, and I guess it has something to do with cookies, I don't know, and you buy anything from there, supposedly I get credit. It hasn't been working, because I know people who've used it and I didn't get the credit, but that's not the point. I do like Noble Knight Games, and I get a little something maybe sometimes if you happen to buy from there, but it's a really good place to find out-of-print games. I haven't been able to find everything I want, but I've been able to find a lot of stuff there. So, as always, thank you very much, Noble Knight Games. Thank you even more so to the channel members whose names have been scrolling across the bottom. And last thing I'll say is, again, a reminder, if you are interested in getting your very own Hungry Gamer shirt, just let me know down in the comments or just send me an email and I will connect you with the guy who can make it happen. So as always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.